Allegiance by Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Albright.
Bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the beautiful warm sunshine. Although people don't always like the hot weather, I kind of do, so I'm happy for it. Thank you for all those that are here tonight. We ask for blessings of those that couldn't make it tonight. We ask that you watch over us as we leave here, and we ask these things all in your holy name. Amen.
We stand for
Commissioner Wilkins.
Here.
Commissioner Albright.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaczynski.
Present.
Commissioner Gleason.
Here.
Commissioner Way.
Present.
Mayor Wheeler.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we move now to item 4, approval of agenda. Is there any additions or subtractions?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I have two.
Commissioner Wilkins.
First one would be Juneteenth,
We'll put that at 5F.
and the second one would be low to moderate elderly income assistance.
Let me correct that, Madam Clerk. Juneteenth will be 5E, and then low to moderate elderly
Income assistance,
assistance, household assistance
yes,
will be 5F.
thank you.
All right, anything else? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda with the additions.
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Gleason. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, we move to 5, which is discussion items. 5A, monthly financial report ending May 31st. City Finance Director.
May financial summary report. As always, revenue, we're at 87% collected. Two things to note in the revenue. Property taxes, you see there, it's up to April, so we're still awaiting May and June collection. Same as for sales. So those will come. Now we kind of send the outgoing taxes middle of this month, maybe for May, and the rest will come in the new fiscal year, but reported back to the current fiscal year. General fund expenditures, we're at 89% expense. That's come down to stormwater revenues, 170% collected for stormwater revenue with total revenue at 47%. Stormwater fund expenditures, expense 63%. Our revenues at 122%. Collected and expenditures at 79%. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Finance Director, on stormwater revenue, is that a large amount of uncollected compared to normal, and when will we get that money?
So that 389 you see is there just fund balance that was appropriated for this throughout the year. So that fund balance appropriated is considered a revenue source. So at the end of the year, once the revenues and expense is finalized and the audit is completed, they would calculate how much per fund balance was actually used of that 439 that's appropriated.
And that will explain the 50,175.
50,107 is just how much we have collected in excess for the estimated amount that we want to collect from the actual funds that we receive from the collected by the county.
Okay. That answers my question. Mr. Wilkins, any questions?
No, sir.
Mr. Albright. Mayor Pro Tem.
The property taxes the percentage of, so far is 97%, and sales and use tax is 76%. Why is there such a disparity in that if it all comes from the county?
Doesn't come from the county.
Oh, it doesn't come from the state?
Doesn't come from the state yet.
That explains it.
Anything else? Okay. Commissioner Gleason? Nothing. Mr. Way?
Nothing, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Lee. We appreciate it. It was always a wonderful job. All right, we move now to 5B, AN 2024-01, Mount Energy School Annexation. Mr. Frangos.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Happy Tuesday to everyone. I'm sorry, it's Monday. Yeah, I'm used to being Tuesday, now you're right, it's Monday.
Oh, that was really good.
I had a long weekend too,
I
yeah.
leave on Thursday, not the
That's right, I played with it Friday. So, tonight is the second step of AM 2024-01. You might recall, back on the Tuesday meeting, earlier this month, we did adopt, as part of the consent agenda, the two required resolutions. So this being, step 2 is the public hearing that is scheduled and required, and in your packet also is the ordinance that would actually extend, the corporate limits. So just leafing through the package, Barbara, I'm not sure which version you have up there, but, included in your agenda packet was the resolution, right, from the Board of Education. That's the original signed application for voluntary annexation. The two tax cards for the two separate properties, one being the school and the other behind it. Then we'll go on, that was the notice of public hearing, which ran in, the CREEDMOOR News on June 6th. And then the certificate of sufficiency, this is what Barbara does to be sure that the property does indeed qualify for voluntary annexation, and that truly the owners of the property made the request, and truly it is contiguous to existing corporate limits. And then the last step there is the ordinance, which should be blank, right, at this time, prior to adoption. The map is also there, Barbara. I think one more page, if you go, you will see the exhibit. I don't know if you can turn it. The only thing that I'll point out on the exhibit, of course, is this is the way the property was originally conveyed to the Board of Education, and it does not show the actual Sigwassa pump station, which exists in the corner there, and it is a separate parcel. It is not an easement, so that parcel would not be included in this annexation, because Sigwassa has not made the request. It is a Board of Education request. It's the only little hiccup, unfortunately, that that little postage stamp size piece will remain outside. Any questions I can answer?
What is the tax, just for my curiosity, the tax value for this property?
13 million?
Well, I mean, it's in the tax record, but we don't collect anything.
Well, I understand that. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
This is 13,656 for the,
Right.
for the building, and 85,6.
Wait. Let me ask.
But it's right here.
I know.
$2,656,000 for the front piece, and $85,660 for the back.
Okay, that's what was throwing me, the
Correct.
two parts.
Two parts.
All right,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I've talked to, the director of Sigwassa about that pump station, and we will be talking to you further after our next Sigwassa meeting.
Mr. Albright, any questions? Mr. Gleason? Motion. Mr. Wilkins? Mr. Way?
No, sir.
All right, I think we need to do a public hearing, and I will call that to order at this time, the public hearing on the annexation. Is there anyone that signed up to speak? Is there anyone who would like to speak? Not hearing any. I make this public hearing closed. And then I guess you need a motion to approve the ordinance 2024-0-07.
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Gleason. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Mike, excellent job. Thank you, sir. All right. Grant match, grant application update. 5D, which is, oh, wait, did I check it off? I did update on, okay, that's what I skipped. Update on Joe Pete Road easement.
So last Thursday, we had a very productive meeting, with Scott Troyer, Manager Turner, Mayor Pro Tem was there, Paul was there. We went over some issues in detail related to the easement. Certainly, we have all intentions of granting the easement. There were just a few things that we wanted to be sure we got taken care of. Scott agreed, said that he would go back to CBM Smith and discuss these minor changes with them, and we're currently at the point where we're waiting for them to hear back on if any of these things are problematic for them in their design or any other hiccups. So obviously, and one other point in the written easement, so this is part of the drawing on what's going to actually happen inside the easement, but in the written portion of the easement, it talks about it being unobstructed and free from any development. And of course, one of the main concerns of our issue was the idea that someday we might want to extend Helen Street. So we wanted the wording of the easement modified slightly to remove the word development, and potentially, of course, would allow for asphalt roadway type construction across the easement. So that needs to be specified. So there are two amendments that we're currently waiting on. So I don't believe an action is imminent or necessary to happen immediately, but Scott did talk about our willingness to approve the easement with these contingencies. I've never seen a letter, though. I haven't seen any sort of formal writing from them about it. So my recommendation right now is just to continue to wait till we get these back, and we can visualize and confirm that they're correct. And then, back in July, I think when the next meeting will be the best time to finalize.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaczynski, any questions?
The other thing, we did tell Scott said to us that there was a time element, a rush on this to keep their project on track, and we told them we didn't want to hold anything up. So he suggested that he didn't know if they could get surveying done for this little change that we wanted in time. Suggested that by our June 15th meeting? July 15th.
Yeah.
That they would either have the new easement to us or a letter saying they agreed to the terms, and that we were asked if we would be okay with the letter, and we said it depends on what the letter says.
Yeah, there are a few little changes that have to be made to the design. A couple of these manholes do need to move just a little bit, which will also cause the easement to move just a little bit, and change the elevation of the final rim of the manhole cover. So just a few things that they can work on and improve. Not a big deal, I don't think, none of us think, but we need them to get through their process with CBS.
I don't think Scott thought it was that big a deal, that it was pretty minor. And I want to thank Carl and Mike. They did an excellent job in it was an extremely informative meeting. And I think it was a great meeting of the minds there.
Carl did a lot of the work with the illustrations to show exactly what the problems were. And it was easily conveyed to the so.
Commissioner Way, any questions or comments?
No, sir, I don't.
Commissioner Gleason? No, sir. Commissioner Wilkins?
Thank you, Carl and Mike. Excellent job.
Mr. Albright?
Could you send those drawings to us? Can we look at them? Are we allowed to look at them? Is that okay?
I mean, it's informal, it's just called
Yeah.
working in paint.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be glad.
Okay.
to see you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do that, Laura? Charlie, do it.
Okay. Now, not to get ahead of myself again, we're at 5D, grant match, grant application. Mr. Frangos.
Yeah, I'm not gonna move, I'm gonna stay right here. So this one is just informational, and it's good news, but it's tentatively good news, in that we are able to and have been able to work with Grant Match, our consultant, out of Canada, you might all remember, where we work with them and they only get paid if a grant is awarded. So this is the most recent grant, application that we've, put together for them, ATIIP, Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program. And it's through the FHWA, and it is, of course, for our sidewalk gaps that we've identified, the 10 sidewalk gap projects that exist throughout CREEDMOOR. So what this project would do, for a total project cost estimated at $375,000, it required the city's 20% local match, $75,000, and then I term it as the finder's fee, but it's the fees that we would pay grant match would be $30,000, and that's 10% of the total grant funds, which is $300,000. So, in order for the city to bring in $300,000, this grant would potentially make us liable for $105,000. Now, it's not due immediately. We won't know the outcome of the grant likely for 12 months, if not more. He theorized it could be as many as 16 months before we knew the outcome of the grant. But at least we know we have it in just today, and that was the crucial reasoning of why we needed to get it done. The deadline is 11:59 p.m. tonight. Lee helped us as it's not FEMA though, it's government.com? What's your title? Your administrator? Yeah, so it's a federal grant program that we're working through. Lee is our administrator. Grant Match did the work behind the scenes, prepared all the application materials with our help, and then Lee was the final applicant to submit to gov.com. So really, this is just an informational item, just to let you all know that we have submitted. If there's any problem or any questions, certainly, we can take it up as we move along, but we won't know the outcome for a little while. So we just have to play it by ear.
All right, sir, thank you. Mr. Wilkins.
Mr. Frangos, if I'm reading this correctly, we'd have to pay out the 20% anyway, the $75,000. So the extra outlay is the $30,000?
Yes.
Just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
That's right.
Okay.
75 is the matching requirement.
We'd have to pay regardless.
Regardless.
Right.
It's the extra money that we're paying to grant match.
The $30,000.
Done their work.
Good.
And I really feel that they did a good job. We spent a couple of months working with them. I think I've been probably attending 6 or 7 meetings now, with Corey. We worked through our initial priorities. We worked through trying to find hazard mitigation grants to help with the maintenance of Lake Rogers Dam. We had Parks and Recreation open space, master plan is another priority, and unfortunately, there were just no opportunities that were available right now. So you might recall that he had initially scoped out the state trails connectivity, where we were going to run a trail either down Dove Road or down 50 to connect to Falls Lake. We all kind of were low on that one, didn't feel it was certainly a good use of the city's time and money, but this one is much more appropriate to our priorities. This is the same subject matter that we worked with McAdams on probably 9 months ago or so now to try to get those other grant funds. Unfortunately, we know we were unsuccessful in that regard. So this is the same topic, different grant program, obviously different grant application.
Well done.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gleason.
Maybe I missed, what is the $375,000
actually get us?
It's a planning and design grant. This will get us all the way through the design of the 10 sidewalk gaps. So the environmental, all of the planning, the engineering, and right-of-way acquisition. It'll simply leave us short of construction. And then at that time, it would be appropriate to go to CAMPO for the LAP program with the full design in hand and get those funds from them, simply for construction. Those are the ones that they want to hit just for construction. This is for design and early. It's pretty important, yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Albright? Mr. Way?
No, sir, just, I'm ready to get a consensus to move forward with one of these projects that we did on our strategic planning to get these sidewalks started.
Would you? Mayor Pro Tem?
No, I want to thank everybody on the coordination with Brent Mack and working together. It's really wonderful, and I'm glad that we go from 5 sidewalk plans to 10. That's great. We can really get a lot more done with this. And hopefully we'll get some money for the final phase when we get there. I think it's great.
Mike, do you need anything else from us?
Just if you all agree, then we're okay.
I think it's,
Consensus?
I think consensus is to go with it.
Great, thank you so much.
All right. 5E, Juneteenth, Mr. Wilkins.
Yes, sir. I've asked the city manager to distribute these Juneteenth flyers that you have in front of you. And the bottom one is the corrected flyer after the initial one, which talked about a litter sweep. And the top flyer is the one before it has an example of activities that should be part of an autonomous, independent Juneteenth celebration. And I asked for this to be put on the agenda, not to disparage anybody or castigate anyone, but to have an open discussion about not getting it right. And to focus on getting it right going forward and focus on what Juneteenth means to the citizens' expectations. And if those involved or responsible lack the requisite knowledge to truly honor our citizens, and for us to get better and concentrate on how I believe it should be handled going forward. I believe that in the planning of those years' Juneteenth event, we could have and used the resources that we have available to us. Specifically, we should have sought input, I believe, from the DEI Advisory Board, from local churches, and from me. Why those resources? Well, there's an old saying which says, "You don't know my story." I have shared with the Mayor Pro Tem the racism I have endured personally in my life, so who better to use as a resource than the very people whose ancestors endured systematic slavery and the importance of celebrating the freedom from the institutional system. My first statement is that in 2023 we gathered to celebrate this holiday, and although it not specifically did not go into Juneteenth, it did review the history of the Black community here in Creedmoor. I thought it was a building block to further enhance the celebration going forward. Somehow this year we switched gears and took a reverence holiday and reduced it to a litter sweep. Thank you, Mayor Wheeler, for reacting immediately and removing that from the celebration. Unfortunately, we then chose to tie in a previously planned police community event. I assume somewhere along the way it was decided to leverage the police event to celebrate Juneteenth, and in doing so, reduce the celebration to a non-event, which should always stand on its own as a separate, planned event to honor the community, and specifically the Black community. Let me be clear, what happened on this past Saturday, although a successful police community day, had nothing to do with the celebration of Juneteenth. I'm sorry if it might bristle somebody, or you might be annoyed by my pushback, but again, you don't know my story. My first question to Lee is there a line item or part of the recreation budget specifically to celebrate Juneteenth?
Not a specific line. There's a line for all community events that are planned in the recreation budget.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, I understand you're in the midst of scheduling a meeting with Reverend Daniels from the DEI, and I hope this subject will be part of that discussion at that meeting. I believe he will also discuss the lack of diversity at our past music festivals, as we need to ensure equitable lineup on some of the main stages at the festival. I'm prayerful that my statements here tonight might open up a dialogue that going forward, this board and our staff will use all available resources and put meaningful thought into the planning of Juneteenth. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Way, any questions or comments?
No, sir. I agree with Commissioner Wilkins as far as the DEI board for input. I think the biggest problem that we have is we don't have any input from the DEI board. And I'm not sure the last time they had a meeting, but the last time that we got an update, there were several vacant seats. And some of the members that were currently on the DEI board did not re-up their application to even still be a part of the DEI board. So I'm not sure, Commissioner, how many seats we do have.
You got 3 filled and 5 open.
We have 3 filled and 5 open. But I think that's definitely a resource that we could have tapped into pertaining to such an event, especially with some of the people that have been previously on the DEI board that were vocal in coming in to speak with us at the last meeting. Those are the kind of input that we need, but we don't need it on the day that we're bringing up the issue. We definitely need to plan, and it's hard to plan, and then nobody wanted to be involved in the planning. You might not necessarily have to be asked to plan it. Sometimes you need to insert yourself to make sure that it's getting done.
And we also, it works both ways. We also need to be reaching out.
I agree.
Mr. Gleason.
I agree with Archie. I also hope that long before the next Juneteenth celebration, we will have a active DEI committee. As said, I think last year's event was quite appropriate. This year's event just got waylaid some way. And again, I hope by next Juneteenth we'll be in better shape and have a more appropriate affair.
Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Albright.
Nothing, sir.
All right. One thing that I just want to throw out there, though, is the same thing, issues we had with the Martin Luther King celebration. I mean, we are just, well, actually Juneteenth celebrations itself are just getting off the ground. It's not something that's been going on for months or years or anything. The county has established one. I know Butner doesn't do one, Sim doesn't do one. I have no problem with CREEDMOOR doing one. I don't want to step on anybody's toes and saying you're doing this and now it's taking away people from the county or whoever else does it. But I also want to make sure that we have enough interest for folks that want to do it down here, that we're not having a celebration where 5 people show up because everybody else has gone to the county. So I don't want to be in competition with the county. I do want us to do it, but we need to make sure we'll have the turnout that we really should have.
And in response to that, sir, even if the DEI has no input, you have me. And I'll make sure there's many more than 5 attend. So if they don't do anything, you have me.
But still in competition with the county.
That's fine.
Make sure the county is good with what we're doing in this situation too, much like we did with the Martin Luther King.
Gotcha.
All right.
One more thing, I just want to thank the board for always being open and listening. Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing it to the attention. 5F, low to moderate elderly household assistance. Commissioner Wilkins, I believe that's you too.
Yes, sir. I bring this up again jokingly because you and I had a discussion about this over a year ago, Mr. Mayor, and I don't remember the outcome. So, and neither do you. So, Mr. City Manager, can you find out why we couldn't assist? I don't recall what it was. And that's the only reason I put it on the agenda. I spoke to the mayor, he couldn't remember, I can't remember. There was some reason we could not and I just want to research it.
I mean, I could think of some reasons, but I don't remember.
If we can we let the city,
Yeah.
We'll just search and find, we'll see what we find out.
you just do that. Thank you.
You got so many rules and regulations now.
I'm sure, and I don't recall what this and that.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Any questions for Commissioner Wilkins? Not hearing any? Lord, look at the time. I did have, a couple things that I wanted before I'll close this up. Wanted to ask about the July meeting, just to make sure I'm on the same page as everybody else is. Did we cancel our legislative session, or did we cancel the work session and move the legislative session to the work session? And move the others to that? Okay, that's what we should have done. I just want to make sure it was a good point. Okay, one other thing too I want to bring before the board, and please try to follow this, is that we have emails emitting from the city of Creedmoor out to the public that really don't, in a small way, may pertain to the city, but we don't need to be sharing all that information with 4 or 5 different people that we just want to tell them. If you've got an email that you think they'd be interested in, by all means, reach out to them. Just don't make it a thread, because then all sorts of stuff, because then they share it with their friends, and next thing we know, we're getting 20 different opinions for something that really shouldn't have been out there to start with. So please be cognizant of that, so that we can maintain some decorum of procedure in this. All right, Commissioner Gleason, anything else needs to come before the board?
No, sir.
Commissioner Way?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received an email response from a citizen this week that was addressed to this entire board, but because it went out on the city server, it is now considered public record. So I'm going to answer that email on the record tonight. This was an email from Thelma Thomas Mungo. I sent her a copy of the final budget because she had asked in our meeting that there was no transparency about how the city was spending their money. So I'm going to answer every one of these tonight. Her first issue was budget versions. There should not be 2 different versions of the budget. The one linked in the agenda for the Sunshine List recipients, and the other, more detailed version available by request. The main presentation lacked detail on the items, making it difficult for common citizens to understand where the funds are being projected to go if the budget is passed. And here's my response. The budget documents in the agenda were before the final budget was voted on. The document which I sent the link to was that of the final budget, which lists all the expenditures by department. If any changes were suggested at our last meeting, all of this would have changed. So that is why they are different. Second question, the mayor's parking lot. Ms. Mungo says, I was informed that the mayor spoke on improving his parking lot. Regardless of the property being leased by the city, should the mayor decide to reclaim or sell this property, its value would have increased due to our tax dollars. He would benefit from the $114,000 allocated from the budget. Perhaps like the county asking the school board to sell property for $1 for the community benefit, the mayor could have been asked to sell his property lot for $1 for the good of the citizens and visitors of the city. Also, are there any tax benefits to the mayor for providing this space? With rising taxes, his property taxes and value will increase. Are we, as citizens, subsidizing the increased taxes on the city-owned leased parking lot? My answer is this. First of all, it is not the mayor's parking lot. Had you stayed after your comments at our last meeting, you would have heard the explanation that he made, stating that he owns 40% of the parking lot and the Masons own 60%. The agreement with both parties has not been executed yet, as we are still in negotiations. They are agreeing to let the city use this land to pave a parking lot so handicapped people can go to the businesses on that side of Main Street, which has always been a problem. No one is selling anything. They are agreeing to let us use this land for a parking lot. It will always be a parking lot for the city to use in perpetuity. Number 3, Christmas tree. Ms. Mungo says the proposed budget, which was not openly shared with everyone, includes a $20,000 replacement for the Christmas tree. All of the citizens, all citizens in favor of allocating $20,000 for a Christmas tree. We wouldn't why couldn't we plant a beautifully full-grown or growing spruce to light up every year? Wouldn't that be cost-effective? Do you look at other options? Not everyone celebrates Christmas, so why not look at more cost-effective options? And my answer is, where do you suggest we plant this tree? And where do you suggest we put that tree so that it can be shared by all the citizens? Number 4, public involvement. There should be forums for budget discussions that include what the people of Creedmoor find important, not just what the commissioners deem important. Why aren't the citizens included? Can't there be budget forums, polls sent out to the Sunshine List, or mass mailings like the newsletter for open conversations about the proposed use of tax dollars? Transparency would allow citizens to understand and potentially support the tax increases, or at least understand the reasons behind them. And my response is, in January of every year, the city holds a strategic planning meeting to discuss any new items that need to be addressed and plan for the expenses of the next year, and the public is invited to that. Also, in January, we approve the meeting schedule for the upcoming year and always schedule 3 budget workshops to discuss budget topics, which the citizens are invited to share and attend. Number 5, community aid programs. There was a discussion for an idea about a program to assist residents in the Pecan Hill area, particularly elderly homeowners needing help with repairs. If we can find $140,000 for radios, $114,000 to improve parking lots, $20,000 for a Christmas tree, and previously allocated $100,000, I believe I remember this number correctly, for a gift card program that was never used, why can't the board fund a program to support low to moderate income families? Which is what you just talked about, I'm sorry. My answer is this: I do not remember any discussion on this issue. It's just me, I don't remember it. It is against the law to use taxpayer dollars to improve private property. And I'm sure that there are more families in need of repairs other than the Pecan Hill community. The county has a grant program to assist homeowners, and I called on this today, so I know I'm right. The county has grant programs to assist homeowners in need for repairs and assistance. Low income, you just have to apply for the grants. Again, I explained the reason we need new radios. I truly thought you were aware of the numerous requests we have had for additional parking on and around Main Street. With all the new shops opening, we are getting more requests. The parking lot on Elm Street has been planned since 2020. The $114,000 is not just for the parking lot on Main Street. It is to finally get the Elm Street parking lot done. It's just an estimate. I want to thank Ms. Mungo for her responses and her concerns, and I hope that I have answered them all. My other thing is, we have very many disparage communities inside the city limits of Creedmoor, not just Pecan Hill. And I think that we need to make sure that if we're gonna help any of them, we help all of them. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Commissioner Wade, anything else?
No, sir.
I've already, Commissioner Gleason, Commissioner Wilkins?
Nothing?
I'm sorry, I just wrapped up and I forget where I'm at. Commissioner Albright? I'm not sure that is complete. Anything? No. City manager?
I would like to say that I did speak to Ms. Mungo as well and invited her to City Hall to sit down with me and the finance director and walk through the differences between these budget documents and what they are. One, of course, was a presentation on June the 4th, the budget letter from the managers at least prepared, it's a 4-page document, and then finally the 40-page approved budget. So I told her I'd be happy to sit down if she had time to come by.
All right. I think that has covered everybody and everything. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn is made by Commissioner Wilkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. That may be a record.